Unpack your knives and stay. Yes, stay. Welcome everybody to another episode of the Top Chef RHAP podcast. I am Haley Strong. Happy finale to you and yours, and we're hosting a finale party here on the podcast. Hi, Curt Clark.
Woohoo! Finale party! Yay!
Finale. Hi,
Finale
LaTonya.
It's finale party. It's finale party. I'm very happy to talk about this episode and very excited about the person who won this finale. Very excited.
Good, I am glad, and something tells me we'll talk about it more later. And then it couldn't be a finale party without our best friends of the podcast. Hi, Jim.
Hello. No singing from me, but I'm happy to be here.
And Owen, welcome back again.
Hello, good to be back in such short succession, but I was flattered to get the invite, and always good to see Chef Jim as well. So this should be fun.
How many hot wings did you bring to the party?
No hot wings this week. I was actually thinking about that. I was already pre-thinking about what I ate this week, and I was like, no wings this time, but it's the way it goes sometimes.
We had so much fun with the finale last season with the two of you. We have to make this like a tradition. So
I love it. Here for it.
Absolutely.
Top story of the episode. Congrats to Tristan for winning Top Chef #Destination Canada. I will say it did feel kind of like a no-brainer. Like 3 episodes in, like I'm not surprised. I'm not shocked. Even like in this finale, I don't know if it's like response to last year's finale where Danny won, right? Danny won, and everybody was like, no, this person should have won. And then like Tom Colicchio came on Twitter and was like, no, actually it was like such a slam dunk. It's embarrassing that they even edited it, that the other guy had a chance, like, because he did not. That was terrible. So I wonder if this time they were just like, no, it's Tristan. Don't yell at us. You can tell it's Tristan, you know?
like I think that even if Haley had for her third dish like cooked something that represented her more than somebody else, I still don't think that would, like, I feel like they were trying to plant the seeds that might have changed things. That wouldn't have changed things.
No, I don't think so either.
I had a weird energy about me while watching this finale. I'm not going to lie. I had to rewatch it for the podcast because I was incredibly nervous for some reason, despite the fact that they've been telegraphing that he was going to win. I was very, very nervous. And I was almost, because, results of things that people vote for in this country don't often go away that I appreciate. I was almost ready, like with my shoe, to be like, like the whole time. So that's kind of how I watched it.
Ready to have the rug pulled out from under you.
Yes. I mean, I'm going to point us to friend of the podcast, Gia Worthy, and her article on Cultress, where the title is Top Chef Crowns Its First Black Winner in 15 Years.
Wow.
Which is wild. Which is why I sat there with my slipper in my hand, ready to swat at whoever the winner of Top Chef was if it wasn't Tristan. So I'm glad that I got the chance to watch it again with like not a knot in my stomach and not a shoe in my hand.
Yeah, like we're having another episode in Milan. Obviously, no quickfire this week. We're just jumping straight into make the best 4-course progressive meal of your life. And there was no knife draw on the sous chefs. I had
to look up who Tristan's pick was.
Yeah,
he did it familiar.
Oh no.
Yeah, Zubair was really early.
Yeah, Zubair was like 3 or 4.
Third or fourth, yeah.
And I just feel like it's a personal attack that I was robbed of seeing Massimo one more time.
Haley, you know good and damn well that none of those people had the time to deal with Massimo's personality.
And that's fine. That's fine. I'm not asking for him to be a sous chef. What I was asking was for him to be standing there like this, waiting for the knives to get drawn, and then his name's not on it, and then he goes, I'm gonna go eat some pasta. See y'all later. And then he gets to eat at dinner. Like, that's what I want. I don't need him to be a sous chef. I just need him to be present. That's all I'm asking for.
It does seem kind of intentionally cruel that he was not allowed to go to Italy. It was very much like Emily will not be going to Paris.
Yeah. Jim, I can't remember. Did you get to go to Mexico for Charleston?
Yes, everybody went to Mexico.
That's what I thought. And that's all I'm asking for. Is just everyone to go to Italy. What, Delta can't like use one of their $125,000 of prize money towards flights for everyone else? I know there's direct flights from Montreal to Milan. Well, I don't know that for a fact. But I'm sure there's direct flights from Montreal to Milan, okay?
Well, did y'all notice Cesar was in the
the
huddle of people at the very end, and I was like, wait, he's there? Like, so
I
was curious who else was there.
He was in the final huddle, and that's it. And I was like, well, why didn't they invite him for dinner? Like, why didn't he get to go for dinner? He would have had a nice time.
He's a pleasant enough person.
Yeah. I don't know.
Yeah, I was like, gosh, I hope he even maybe got to taste some of the food. He's there, but he was probably sequestered in the back somewhere, away from all the action, which is a shame.
He basically had to hold the tray of champagne for 3 hours until they finished deliberating.
I literally saw Bailey picked Lana, get it. I see Shuai picked Paula, question. Okay, Paula, okay. Yeah. And then I thought, did they give us a
Shuai only did it because he felt so bad that he didn't get kicked off in that spot. He's like, I gotta get my girl free from Italy for this because it's my fault she left.
But then I seriously thought, and then Tristan gets to pick his sous chef from home for some reason. I had no idea that was Zubair. I felt so bad. I didn't even recognize the name didn't process. I literally had to go back and look. I'm like, oh, wait a minute, that's Zubair.
Yeah, Zubair was out episode 4, so it had been a minute. Who did you think Tristan would have picked?
Vinny?
That's who I thought he was going to pick.
Yeah, him and Vinny seem to have a good connection.
Technical pair. A good technical pair.
Well, and you know what? Ethan said to me, he's like, I don't understand why you wouldn't none of these. I get why some of them didn't pick Vinny, but Vinny just did a whole season of Top Chef cooking other people's food. That dude can follow instructions.
Yeah. That's really funny. I could have seen him picking Corwin, I think, too. It'd be funny if he picked one of the two.
Or Kat. Nobody's picking Kat.
It makes sense to me that he picked Zubair.
His explanation made a ton of sense.
I remember Zubair from this season.
I had to be reminded.
Show, Curt.
I wish he picked Ying or Sam, who never even had made it into the competition proper.
Can you imagine?
It just seemed like Sam? Zubair's any protein that was prepared by Zubair seemed to have every spice that's ever existed on it. So it makes total sense to me that someone who has as complex a spice mix up as Tristan would pick him. They just understand the region that they're cooking about.
And
I loved the logic. I will say I didn't realize someone who had gone home that early was eligible to be picked. Because I feel is Zubair the earliest eliminated contestant who's been a Sue in the finale? I feel like by probably a lot.
I think so. Because I think they usually will bring back the last 4 to 6 people.
Yeah, if it's a knife draw, it's usually within the last couple people. I don't remember what season it was. It might have been Top Chef Texas, where everybody came back and they all had to cook a dish, and then the chefs in the finale had to blind taste the dishes and then pick their sous chefs off of those dishes. So I feel like someone early might have sneaked back into that one. But that's such an abomination of a season. It is hard to go back and rewatch and fact check.
And sometimes there are more than one Sue as well. I remember Sarah Grunberg, she's cooking in a restaurant. And I want to say that she had that season, they had maybe 2 or 3. So a lot of the people from earlier in the season were there. But they're serving 100 diners or something in that finale.
Yeah, that's very true. That's not the last Sarah Grunberg shout out we're going to have on this episode of podcast, because she is mentioned many times this episode.
Owen's excited.
My favorite. Well, I did rewatch season 9 right before this. So I told y'all last time I was on the pod, I was predisposed to, after episode 1, I was not the biggest Bailey fan because I had just watched Sarah and Heather, just and their relationship with Beverly, which I did not care for. So I'll say the character Sarah, hearing her brought up in episode 1 did not make me super excited, but Bailey earned her spot back, from second boot to all the way through Last Chance Kitchen. I was just waxing poetic about how Kristen did the same thing and came back to win her season after, running the gauntlet. So nothing but respect. And honestly, this finale meal, I was ready to kind of hate on it and be like, oh, she's just, it's just Italian again. But the creative stuff she does and the way she's able to meld ingredients and bring together combinations that on the surface don't seem like they're going to work, but it sounds like I wish I could taste them because they sound so delicious and fun to eat, even though it is in this kind of traditional Italian technique and flavor profile. But then she's bringing in all these different things that I think make it fascinating. So yeah, I was so happy with the winner, but I have to say she impressed me with her menu and everything. But I did find it a little ironic that Sarah, in a way, was part of her demise.
I will say for my money, I think these 3 meals combined is probably the finale meal I'm most interested in trying over I don't know, every season ever. It just seemed like it came down to grains of rice on this one. I do feel like Tristan was a slam dunk, but I think Bailey or Schwei could have won a lot of other seasons with the meal they cooked on this episode.
Yeah. And I'm just realizing that this kind of unintentionally mirrors the tasting menu I had last weekend, where we had 3 teams cooking 4 courses each. So that's just hitting me now that I'm not too far from having had 12 courses over the course of a couple of hours. So, yeah.
I like the way Gregory put it, where he was like, I'm enjoying eating at all 3 of these restaurants.
Yeah, and they were I loved how different each of these menus were. They were so unique to that particular chef. And it just seemed like everybody at the table was having a rip-roaring great time.
Indeed. Jim, I'd love your perspective on just the experience of eating that way, where you are trying to compartmentalize 3 separate meals, but you're going all of first course, all of second course. So I'm curious, would it make more sense to eat Bailey's entire 3-course meal, then Tristan's entire, I don't know what I would prefer, how I'd be able to wrap my head around it. What do y'all think? I
personally would rather eat them head to head, just because it's a little bit easier, and you can sort of limit yourself to what you eat too. It's much better to go compare dessert versus dessert than to go from dessert into your your amuse on the next course. I will say I was lucky enough to eat Shirley and Brooke's finale meal. We ate, both of them, we were there. We got all the contestants got to eat at that finale. And it made more sense. You get the 2 dishes right next to each other. And especially because the way the judges end up oftentimes comparing course by course, who wins that one. It makes the most sense that way. And plus just for time. It's a much longer experience if you eat all of one meal and then all the next one.
True.
Let's dive into our first course. Bailey served a polpo e matz with tomato dashi and giardiniera. So she did octopus and cheese. Schwei had a pani puri with scarlet shrimp, ahi verde, and salsa matcha. And Tristan did a monkfish with pickled turnips, tempura broccoli, and bacala mbongo. Jim, we have asked you on this podcast before, why not cheese and fish? And you say, it's just oftentimes too heavy, too greasy, et cetera, et cetera. How do you feel about cheese and octopus?
This one, I think Bailey, and this is also what I say, is that rules are meant to be broken for sure. And there are always exceptions to where there are plenty of examples of when seafood is good with cheese. My favorite example to give is sort of like a grilled oyster with Parmesan. That's a nutty kind of mild cheese. It makes a lot of sense to go on there. It doesn't overpower. The oyster has big flavor too, so it's not going to overpower it. For me, octopus and mozzarella sounds terrible, but Richard said the reason why it was so excellent is because it was dumb and brilliant at the same time. And so sometimes you have have to like you have to push those kind of boundaries. And it looked great. And sort of like when you look at the rest of the dish, whether there's sort of like you can see the cauliflower and there's some pickled elements and there's a lot of things to kind of balance out the cheese. And to be fair, mozzarella is a mild cheese. It's not like she's putting like blue cheese on that plate to go with the octopus, which would be weird. Octopus is delicious, but to me, octopus is almost too smart to eat. I feel like a lot of times, like I never really serve it, but just sort of like it is delicious. But like to me, it's hard. It's hard to honestly. It's a really hard bright line to draw. You're like, well, pigs aren't that much far behind. So like, and it's hard to judge sort of like, oh, you're this smart, so I won't eat you. But to me, there's something about octopi that are just something that are like, I don't know. Maybe it's a terrible bright line I'm drawing, but for me, octopus is something that is a hard one to serve for me.
I feel you on that one. I know a lot of people felt that way after that documentary came out on Netflix, the My Octopus Teacher, and that kind of brought a more widespread awareness to how brilliant they are. So yeah, I feel guilty when I do eat it. I'll say the last time I had octopus was like a year and a half ago at Nina Compton's restaurant here in New Orleans, and it was delicious. She really treated it with respect, and I saw I could mentally picture how the charred bits like paired well with the creaminess of the mozzarella. And then I loved the Chicago nod with the giardiniera.
Yeah, the giardiniera.
Like, it's a nice idea. So it sounded delicious to me. But yeah, I feel you, Jim. That's not a weird kind of balance to try to think about. It's odd.
It is. It's a hard right line for any chef to sort of draw. And I was a vegetarian for a very long time, and then I was a pescatarian, and I was a vegan for a little while. And it's very hard. I do know that sort of like when I broke my veganism or when I broke my pescatarianism was sort of like right before I went to culinary school. And I just sort of went down to like my favorite restaurant, my old boss, and just sort of like went to town on like charcuterie, ossobuco, like everything imaginable that I hadn't eaten in like 8 years, and sort of like to sort of get back in the vibe for culinary school. But
amazing.
Yeah.
I thought Shuai's pani puri was just like stunningly gorgeous, and I don't think I've actually ever had pani puri, but this is what I envision when I think of them. Like they were so perfectly like domed, and I don't know, this was great. Everyone really loved this dish. They thought it was a perfect start to the meal.
Just from the shop, like those shrimp looked so beautiful that I completely understand why he was taken with them and had to have them. They look so good.
Thought. Yeah, they look delicious.
I feel that way about shrimp very often. And I'm thankful for their presence.
But you must watch from a distance.
No, I can eat shrimp.
Oh, I thought that it's just scallops? I thought it was all shellfish.
No, I'm very thankful that I can eat anything that turns red in water.
Oh, not going to take that to the logical extension.
Thank you. Tristan, this was really interesting from Tristan because he did double the work because he was having a hard time deciding. And I'm like, babe, like we don't have to do this. Like, we don't have to put this much pressure on it. He literally is just like, I'm just going to cook another dish for funsies.
Listen, as someone who has a lot of anxiety, and also lives for praise from like authority figures, I'm gonna make 2 dishes and figure out which one is the best one.
So fair, bestie, but I would be like, I need to put all of my focus in making one really excellent one. And also, like, this is just a personal thing. Whenever fish is prepared, and whenever any meat is prepared in a manner in which it has to be like wrapped in plastic wrap to make a tube, like, I'm out. Like,
Not the most appealing to you.
I don't want that texture. And then they were like, the monkfish, it looked uncooked, but it was cooked. And I'm like, no, I think I'm out. This plate was gorgeous. And like, if it was put in front of me, obviously I'm trying it. But like,
that's not the most appetizing description you're hearing coming out of the TV.
That's like, the thing, right? That's the thing. It's just, it's not that. Yes. Jim, tell me more about monkfish.
Yeah, I've never had monkfish before.
I love monkfish. Monkfish lives on the bottom of the ocean. They are they have a giant head and kind of a small, like pointy backside and tail. And they do have a texture that is more like a shellfish or like a lobster. And actually, sort of the best part of the monkfish is the cheek meat. And because their heads are so big, the cheeks are often like the size of scallops. And so you get this really kind of great. It's a really good fish. It tends to be. You see them on the eastern seaboard. Really, the kind of the northeast is generally where they come from. But really, and it's an excellent fish to work with. It is a hard fish to work with too, because the way in which the meat is on the loins is like when you cook it. A lot of times it has one of those fish that, like, as you cook it, it rolls, and that's probably part of the reason why they torchoned it, is because it just it prevents that sort of like you put a fish in the pan, sometimes it starts to curl up like that.
Yeah,
monkfish are like that. You either have to like weight it really well or torchon it. There have been a ton of torchons this season, like way more than a lot of other seasons.
And I'm not appealed by a torchon. Like, it's just, I don't want that shape in my food, I guess, unless it's a hot dog.
No,
hot dog's only meat tube you want.
Yeah.
Choose your own meat tube.
Don't take that out of context, listeners.
Torchon sounds like the name
married.
of a kid I might have in my camp this summer. It's like, hello, Torchon. How are you doing today?
Greetings, Torchon.
Torchon, you're on this team.
We sous vide a lot at the restaurant. Like, we use circulators, and I don't torchon that much, but we do it from time to time. And sometimes, like, we were running foie torchon during the holiday season, but I am kind of worried about this, is that sort of like the way in which microplastics get into the food system. I'm really kind of worried about all of this sort of like, well, like, I'm cooking this fish in a bag that is plastic, and like it seems like a little different than sort of like cooking something in a skillet. And so, like, I don't know that there have been any studies about this. Microplastics are everywhere. And we use it, like, seriously, like, anytime fish comes in, we break it down, we put it in the cryovac machine, and we store it that way. Or so, like, boom, fresh fish into plastic, sealed. We're butter preserving steaks in the circulator, boom, plastic, sealed. And I am kind of worried about that. I don't know that there have been any studies about it, but I did talk to a scientist recently who's like, maybe you should think about, before you put like the Tide Pods in your washing machine, or the little pods in your dishwasher, because like once those plastics break down, where are they going? They're going right down the drain. And so I just kind of wonder about, like, are we eating a lot of plastic when we're torchoning stuff and then sous videing it? I don't know the answer to it, but in the back of my mind, it causes some worry. Sorry, that's a little random aside there.
No,
but,
I think that is a very reasonable thing to bring up.
Yeah.
And then everyone was so impressed with this first course that Tom could not contain it. He had to go, Daddy Tom had to go back to the kitchen and say, I love my 3 children equally, and I can't wait for you to cook more for me.
He was so happy.
I've not seen him this happy in a finale before, I don't think.
I think Tom's having a nice time this season. I think maybe as time and space has taken place, we can probably all admit that Wisconsin was a bit of a tough season for all involved. And I think this season, coming after Wisconsin, Tom is just like in the stands, like doing the wave, like having the time of his life.
It felt like he was like hosting a dinner party, and his children did something that he was really proud that they did it in front of his guests and his friends. And he's like, great job, kids. They're eating it up, like literally. And he was like beaming. It was very sweet.
It was
more of that. Just do 3 more courses of that, and you're good.
Perfect. You guys are perfect. Yeah.
I really like that I've never heard him say this before.
He's never.
He considers himself to be a mentor to everyone who's been on the show, and I've never heard him think about it that way, or I've never heard him mention that out loud. But it makes a lot of sense, and I'm happy to say Tom Klika was a mentor of mine. Maybe that'll be on my CV now. So
yeah. Just like put that clip as a GIF in your print it out.
Yeah. And then can you tell him that we exist, please?
Yeah.
Okay, well, we're on our way to them knowing we exist.
More on that later.
Yeah. That's a discussion for the episode.
In our second course, Bailey made a porcini and roviola annolini with alpini, cabbage, pecan, and brodo. Shuai made a soup, a dumpling raviolo with pork and king crab, charred leek vinaigrette, and lardo. And Tristan made a pollo durango with injera shrimp toast and shellfish jus. Another really beautiful course from everyone. I know we this was kind of Shuai's first and biggest stumbling block. I was really taken with Bailey's second course here. I thought that was gorgeous, and like it felt like Bailey on a plate. I think is what I loved so much. It sounded like I was going to say more with that sentence, but I wasn't. Whoever wants to comment on that one, have at her.
I mean, I was intrigued by Shuai's kind of framing of his dish as like a ravioli, but it's a soup dumpling.
I was so like taken by that idea.
Yeah,
I love a soup dumpling. I love a ravioli. I love when the chefs are able to be inspired by where they are and still like pair it with what they do. And I thought this was like a really striking way to do that. I'm so sad for Shuai that it didn't quite work out how he wanted. I think Gail said like, you are so close on this. Like you have a dish here. Like, please just keep going with it. Because I think reading the 3 dishes, like that is the one I am like far and away trying.
Yeah.
Yeah, it sounded superb.
I have to say that. Oh, sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt. I thought you were done. I thought you were pulling a Haley. Sorry. I was just gonna say that when it comes to this pollo Durango dish, Tristan's intent to decolonize colonized dishes, I think is really lovely, and him like noticing at the opening of the episode when they all get to have like the private viewing of the Da Vinci painting, that the only person in the painting who had dark skin was Judas, is so poignant because for Tristan to go to Italy and see that there's this stereotype in terms of like the type of food that he likes to make, right? Against it. And then to break away from all the ways that his food could have been stereotyped while doing that in a place like Italy where technique is king is such a phenomenal story and like a historic moment on this show. So for me, this dish was like the beginning of when the chef who was the host whose like restaurant they were cooking in began to have like a religious experience at the table, and I just wanted to be a part of that.
Yeah, I completely agree with everything you're saying, and I appreciate that they're in the edit having like letting him have these conversations and airing the full context and even the potential discomfort that some viewers might be like experiencing as they're trying to unlearn like their own perspectives on food, and even within the just like microbiome of the show. And just thinking, when you mentioned Tristan's only the first black winner in 15 years, is Kevin the only other black winner of Top Chef? Am I remembering correctly? Or
I believe so.
Because in my head, Nina Compton's a winner, but I know she's not. But
neither is Gregory.
Yeah, Gregory didn't win,
which is wild. So I loved the whole just like just the thought that he was verbalizing that, you know, he's the first person to have won Top Chef doing this type of cuisine, and like kind of giving a nod to Gregory and Eric and just some of the other chefs along the way that have like
Naisha
gotten close. Yeah, knocking on the door, and he finally did.
Oh my gosh, that killed me. No black woman has ever won. That was something that Lana laid bare in the very first episode of the season. So great to have Lana back. Like, what a light of a human being. Her relationship with Bailey, I know like we're rightfully so gonna praise Tristan a whole lot, but I've gotta like, you know, pour a little sugar on my girl Bailey, my Chicago girl, the only woman remaining in the competition, coming back from being eliminated following the Kish route and making it to the finals and cooking her heart out, and doing so with her best friend in the competition. Like, I feel like for Bailey, it was a no-brainer who she was going to bring back.
And I think it was such a wonderful pick because I've said it all season, but Lana has just such a presence in the kitchen. Like she is somebody you want on on your team. Like
Yes.
she takes incredible feedback, but she'll provide her voice when necessary. Like she's so calming. She's so smart when it comes to food. I just like really enjoy having her around. And I think her and Bailey, they should do some like cute little girly pop-up dinners with their cute hair bands and everything.
Yes.
Yeah, girly pop-ups.
Oh my God.
There you go.
Trademark. I'm trademarking. That's
trademark.
I call that. That's trademarked.
Call Kim K. She'll get right on it. She graduated from law school, everybody.
Bless her heart.
But no, I completely agree. It was very sweet. Lana's got such great energy. I remember liking her on that Netflix cooking show, Pressure Cooker, I think was the one she was on. But yeah, just really positive vibes. I guess we're not on the dish yet, but I will say that having your sous chef cook your proteins in the final meal was maybe not the move.
No, ma'am.
But we can get to that when we get to that dish.
And going back to I think what you brought up about the Last Supper, but for different reasons, I had no idea it was that big. I thought it was like a smaller framed painting, and I literally Googled how big is the Last Supper. I did not realize it was like a 15-foot wide, basically a fresco. And then sure enough, like shortly after I Googled it, I think it was Tristan who's like, he had said like he had no idea that the painting was actually this large. Like I thought it was something smaller framed in a gallery versus being like the size of a wall. So that was like a reality check for me as well.
Wait until you hear about the Bayeux tapestry.
I know about the Bayeux tapestry.
Oh, okay. Well, I'm just making sure. I don't know your grasp on medieval art, Kurt.
Wait until let's start talking about the Shrouded Turan.
Oh, yes.
Just get really dorky with antiquity. Sorry, everyone.
I will say,
who knew?
Whoever was on the production team that was like, hey, why don't we view The Last Supper for The Last Supper and then have a private viewing? Like that was a major score. Like I don't know, like sort of however, like what kind of hoops they had to jump through to make that happen. Like bravo to whoever made that happen. It was really
literally bravo.
Good decision.
Yeah. Bravo to bravo.
Literally.
And The Last Supper and The Last Supper. Yeah.
Also, can we discuss for a second? I know that we're in the middle of the meal that the chefs made, but can we talk about the meal that the judges made?
Oh yeah, how did I forget? So adorable. Can you imagine just like waltzing into a room? Okay, second, I'm just gonna interrupt myself. Wow, Bailey looked incredible.
I was just gonna say Bailey looked amazing.
So gorgeous. What a beautiful cape. What a beautiful dress. Why my sweet angel didn't realize and Tristan, my sweet angel, was going to junior prom.
He's going to homecoming. Yeah, he's going to homecoming later. So it's okay.
Bailey, like, wow, Bailey, where did you get that dress? Where did you get that cape? Because she looked absolutely incredible in it.
Just beautiful. So good.
But yeah, also the food looked good.
Also the food.
Tom Clicchio serving his little pork roast, which looked delicious. And then he's like, oh, I'm so inspired by you all. With like his 7 books in the background. Like, wow, I like I did purchase it on Kindle because it was $1.99 one day. So I did buy it. I have not read it yet. It will probably be within the next 2 to 3 business years that I will get to it.
Business years.
Yeah, that's okay.
My TBR is V long.
He will wait for you. Just
preheat that reading oven now.
And while we're talking about how attractive people looked, can we talk about Gail for a second?
I love Gail.
Red is the color of sin, Gail. No, I'm just kidding.
You're wearing red for the podcast only listeners. LaTonya is wearing red currently.
This is so scarlet. It was maroon, but whatever.
For the Taylor Swift girlies out there.
But Gail, my God, That's all.
She's a beautiful woman. That's all. That's all that needs to be said.
Everyone looked amazing. I really liked Tom's whole like mini me get up, but it was it was good though because the blazer had stripes. It was like not herringbone, but like a plaid going on. I thought it was nice. I did for a second think, oh, it's mini me. Why are they dressing Tom like mini me? But he pulled it off. He pulls it off really well. Kristen always looks amazing. She's like a hanger. She could literally wear anything. But when I saw Gail and that like pop of color red with the girls like on salute, I was like, yes, this is gonna be an epic dinner.
You said, "Oh, Canada."
I didn't know on salute was terminology, but you learn something
every day.
It is now. Girly pop-ups and on salute. We're learning so much.
I just learned on TikTok that strippers are called midnight ballerinas. Love it.
The third course.
Anyway.
Bailey made a blackened dorado with calabrian chili crunch, whipped tahini, Brussels sprouts, and beets. Shuai made tangsu osso buco with sweet and sour sauce, radicchio, long beans, and grits. And Tristan made an oxtail Milanese crepinette with Carolina gold rice grits, curry butter, and bone marrow gremolata. This was Bailey's major stumble here for two reasons. The protein was overcooked. Lana, just get on with you. This is not your fault.
Why would you ever let someone else cook your protein during this time of your life?
I think it's just that like she has so much trust in Lana, and that's fair enough.
I could never have that amount of trust for anyone, even someone I'm married to. I would not trust to cook my proteins during the Top Chef finale. I'm sorry, I have trust issues. Sue me.
And then a little defense of Lana there, real quick, is that Lana absolutely said, "Hey, do you want me to cook these medium rare and pull them off the heat?" And she said, "No, cook them all the way." And so like, and that, you know, like it depends on like, she's cooking them all the way in the pan, and then they maybe, you know, they have to plate. That's some more time there. The fish is continuing to cook. I mean, I do think that Bailey made the wrong decision when it was, you know, like Lana was asking for instruction on the fish. You know, like she should have cooked them herself probably, but at the same time, she did what she, you know, she was asked to do.
She did. She did.
Yeah.
And then the other issue they had with this dish, and like Bailey said that this dish was a real ode to her boss Sarah at the restaurant Monteverde, and the judges said like this doesn't feel like your dish. So I feel like that, like I get where Bailey was going with that, but then this challenge is just like cook the best meal of your life, not cook the best meal of Sarah's life because she used to go fishing with her grandfather. Like that felt like such a stretch. And like I get her reasoning, and then like I understood the dots that we followed along, but like it's your Top Chef meal.
Well, and it's funny because again, having just watched season 9 within the past year, that was something I don't know if it was within the food or just more interpersonally, but people kept commenting that Sarah would oscillate between being from Texas or being from Chicago. And like in the show, they were a little bit annoyed by like for a particular challenge or a particular conversation. It was like, yeah, you know, I'm from Texas, la la la, versus like I'm with the Chicago crew here. But yeah, it was it didn't make sense. And like what I was saying at the top of the episode, just thinking about Bailey's meal and how, you know, Tristan and Shuai are doing these really cool like blends of cuisine and technique and ingredients and like bringing everything. I thought Bailey was doing the absolute best she could with that to keep Italian fresh and bringing in a different perspective, just because within at least my perspective, the Italian cuisine has a little bit, gave herself more like boundaries than the other two chefs did within the like conceptualization of her meal. So then to even reduce that a step further on this dish felt like she was shooting herself in the foot kind of from the jump. Do you
think Bailey's hands were tied by the fact that they were in Italy and she, like, her food is Italian? So, like, if they went to Singapore, she could have done more of like a Italian Singaporean kind of blend. Like we saw Tristan take in a lot of Italian. inspiration. We saw Schwei take an Italian inspiration, especially in this third course with both the guys. They did that, and then Bailey's just like doing Italian, so it feels less innovative because it's just Italian mixed with more Italian.
I guess I'm being a little harsh because I guess there was tahini on this dish, which is obviously not an Italian condiment. But yeah, I just I felt like the other two chefs, it sounded a little more interesting on the menu, just like eating it.
Yeah, I think that's fair enough. But I think it's partially because she was in Italy doing Italian food.
Yeah. I also it seemed to be missing like brightness and acidity.
Yeah,
as well,
totally.
According to the chefs. And we saw her like at the last minute put a little bit of lemon juice on the fish. But like after it's been, I don't know, Jim, please correct me if I'm wrong, but after it's been like blackened that way, almost blackened, isn't it harder for the like acidity to kind of get past the crust of it?
I mean, not necessarily. I mean, fish is flaky and light, and so like as it's seared and blackened, there are going to be some crevices that open up in the top part of the fillet. But usually even just sort of like lemon zest at the end would have been good. But something else really quick about Bailey's menu conceptually, like when she's first describing her menu to Tom when they're in the menu planning stages, she says, "I want to take inspiration from all the people that I've learned from over my career." And that, she said, the first dish has some Japanese influence in it, and this dish, but we didn't really see what the influence was on the like the soup really. But I do think that like there may have been a little bit of editing kind of stuff going on in here because she could easily say, "I learned how to blacken fish from Sarah, and I think that's a cool technique, and I wanted to use that in this dish." But they just like captured her saying Sarah like 5 times and put it in there when it didn't necessarily. It could have just been used a little bit more as an inspiration. And you always want to give credit to people who you've learned stuff from, and I think that, I don't know, maybe she leaned on it a little too much for sure. And I think if the dish would have been executed better, this sort of like Sarah's dish stuff might not have been an issue.
And
that's a good point.
And it just felt like a little basic compared to Schwei and Tristan's dishes. For this third course, I was really taken by both Schwei and Tristan. I love that the way they were able to kind of incorporate what they've learned in Italy into their dishes. Tristan's was just like, this is a showstopper to me. Like,
yes.
I felt like he had it so in the bag with this one. Like, even if Bailey and Schwei's because they had a bit of an issue with Schwei's dish, but we didn't really learn that until the judging panel. Like, I was really surprised to hear that feedback in the judging panel and not at the table. But even if Bailey and Schwei both like did their dishes perfectly, I think Tristan still like there's no chance for anyone else because this was so striking from a flavor, from like a concept and like technique. Tom was so deeply impressed with the grits.
Everything that this dish is just gets better and better as you keep reading. Oxtail, amazing. Carolina Gold rice grits, give them to me. Curry butter, I'll have that, please. Marrow gremolata, till I die. Like, it just seems like this is what I would come to a restaurant for. Wasn't this the meal where the like imaginary cap was doffed and the guy goes, "This is a chef"? I was like, well, he's taking it. Like, I still got my slipper in my hand just in case, but this is a chef. Like, you don't get that too much from like the owner of an Italian restaurant. I feel like that is as popular as this one. I just feel like that was such high praise that we got.
He was just gobsmacked. Like everyone Tristan's dishes, he was just like perfect. Like he was like one word, like beautiful. Just sort of like he was into it for sure. Hey, do y'all know about rice grits? Y'all know what that is?
No, please tell us more.
We serve a lot of Carolina Gold rice, but when we serve rice grits every day at the restaurant, we usually get ours from the Mississippi Delta. But what it is sort of like in the process of polishing the grains of rice, the long grain rice, there are a bunch of sort of like broken grains that sort of like fall through like in the polishing process. And so there are a bunch of like broken grains, which it's easier to get their starch when you're like making something like this. But it's really just a byproduct. The rice grits are the rice that wasn't good enough to make it into the bag. And so it's a really great ingredient that oftentimes was something that would be thrown away or, the people didn't care about, but it's because it's those broken grains, it has that extra starch, which means that you can make it into almost like a risotto type of texture or a grits type of texture, or just kind of a very different kind of texture for rice. And it's a really beautiful ingredient. The Carolina Gold version of it is awesome. I thought it was great too, the way he described it. He said he cooked it like pasta, which probably means he drained a lot of that starch out of the water. He did it and then added that curry back into it for service, which is probably creaming that too. But that's kind of the reason why they were so impressed about the individual grains of rice and sort of seeing it all in there. But really beautifully well done with a really kind of cool niche ingredient.
That is very interesting.
That's amazing.
Jim, this is why we invite you, because you have the fun facts.
Can I ask you another question? It's about the last course, but I wanted to ask you, have you ever had orata? The fish?
No.
Okay. I'm just wondering, like, it's so tiny and thin. I'd never heard of it before. Bailey making it, so I was just wondering if you've ever had it.
No, I mean, I kind of envisioned it to be kind of sardine-like. I mean, there's really awesome, really great, fresh sardines in Italy and really sort of the Mediterranean all the time. But no, I've not had it. But that's kind of what I was envisioning as she's describing it. We're seeing it.
At some point, I want to talk to you about the world of tin fish that I've now discovered. I got a little down in a rabbit hole while I was in the hospital and bought a ton of tin fish.
There is one that I've been swearing by lately. It's called Minnow brand, and I believe that they're. I think it's in New York. I think they come from the Netherlands, but I think it's imported through New York or New Jersey or somewhere. But Minnow, I've been getting the smoked trout. We don't serve it in the restaurant, but it's so good. I get it from our sort of New Orleans purveyor. It's become my sort of regular lunch at the restaurant. It's really awesome smoked trout.
Amazing.
For our fourth course, I thought all three of these dishes were so beautifully whimsical. And I don't know, something about this course specifically made me very excited. Bailey made a torta de pizzelle with zucca mascarpone cream and espresso stracciatella gelato. Schwai, that crazy guy, he made ambrosia salad, which is with pear and orange jello, pistachio, Italian meringue, and coconut. And then Tristan made a tropical root vegetable cake with chutney, charred plantain cream, and cassareep sorbet. I felt like these three dishes really represented who these three people are. Bailey's seemed incredible.
Oh, it looks so good.
I loved what it was insane. It was just every aspect of it was like, that can't work together. And she's like, I'm throwing it together and you're going to love it.
I think that's the one that if I was reading this menu and I had to choose one of the three, I think that would be the one that popped for me.
Yes.
It looked beautiful. This the layering of it. It looked like super fun to eat. Yeah. I think whimsical is a perfect word for kind of the whole meal and what they were able to do. And I think why I love this episode and a lot of the season so much is people were taking swings throughout the season and doing unique stuff and it paid off. I mean, I thought this was all three, and just going back ever so slightly, just Schwai's third course, it sounded so good conceptually. It's a shame he kind of a couple technical things because on paper, just the visualization I was having of him describing his grandmother making him sweet and sour ribs, it made my mouth water, and it was a bummer to hear that it didn't stick the landing. But yeah, these desserts all looked delectable for sure.
Yeah.
And Schwai's ambrosia salad. I was like, girl, what are you doing? We had my mom's cousin would always make an ambrosia salad for our family barbecues. And that's the only time I've really had it is at these family barbecues. I loved it. It was insane. I don't think I would ever personally make it and serve it to people and be like, you'll like this. But I love it. And I love that he came to this. He's like, I'm doing ambrosia salad. And everyone was like, Schwai, no. And then they all loved it. And then
Jim, can you sorry, I was gonna say, can you tell us about ambrosia salad? Because I've never had it before. I've seen it in movies.
Yeah,
I'm always hearing Southern people in movies talk about my ambrosia salad, but never actually had it.
Yeah, I don't really know about the history of the dish. To me, it's one of those dishes that is like a 50s kind of style dish where you get sort of like, you get the pistachio pudding and you mix it with whipped cream, and then you throw a bunch of like marshmallows and canned pineapple and coconut in there. And that's really just kind of like where I think the dish comes from. But you think about all those good tropical flavors. They all make sense together. And there are a couple of different kinds. Like I like the kind of like the bluish ambrosia salad, which is one that, or the greenish one that's the more pistachio marshmallow one, which sort of like less pineapple-y. But then there's some of them that just look more like pinkish and like yellowish. But I think they almost all involve like Jell-O, Cool Whip, and a lot of like canned fruit. That's kind of the way in which the old-fashioned way to make it is, and it's delicious. That's one of those things where, I would say it's always welcome. It's sort of like your family cookout or your Thanksgiving Day celebration, or kind of like whatever you might say, somebody's aunt's going to bring the ambrosia and be happy about it. That's just kind of how I like it. But it is definitely one of those like dishes that emerges from, we get tropical fruits in the country and a lot of canned stuff in the country, and like Jell-O, all of those kind of things happen at the same time, and people get kind of crazy with their salads. My mom is a giant Jell-O salad maker. Like at Thanksgiving, we'll get either the pretzel strawberry one, or like she has like a repertoire of the sort of salads, which are really just sort of an early dessert.
Yeah,
I love Jell-O. I love going to like a Chinese buffet and they just have like a plate of cubed Jell-O. Like that is like, that's what I want from Jell-O. I want it to be cubed. But I was deeply excited by this dish.
Me too. Ambrosia's just fun to eat. Just like all the different textures that you get but yeah, like it's one of those food. It like tickles your mouth almost, just because you're like getting like the weird.
I think you're allergic to something in it.
Maybe so. It hasn't closed my throat up though. But it's fun to eat. It's one of those silly things, because it's just like you get the Cool Whip, and then you get a mandarin orange, and then you get the like weird. It's like, and then you get actual Jell-O in there. I don't know. It's a fun one.
Everyone makes it so different. Yeah.
And the EpiPen. I probably would have got looking at these on the menu, I probably would have gotten the ambrosia salad because I'm a big pear fan. But given the way that like Tom raved over Bailey's dessert, if I'd heard the judges' impressions of these first, I probably would have gotten Bailey's.
I think I definitely would have gotten Bailey's, but I would have wanted to try each of them. Yeah. Because the idea of a tropical root vegetable cake, I just don't. I teach me your ways.
I love a dessert that doesn't necessarily lean into like being sweet on sweet. So I thought that was a really cool way to do it. And I would say that like this was maybe Tristan's like biggest error, question mark. It just like really divided the judges. Like some didn't like it, some loved it, and some were just so surprised by it that they're like, I don't really think I either liked it or didn't like it, but I just thought it was so interesting that I have to give credit to it.
I do need Richard Blaze to calm down, though.
Yeah, he was being a little bit of a hater.
It was a lot from Richard.
Yeah,
like
I thought the spirit of the comment
like
maybe
effervescent ice cream. Okay, just say that. Sorry.
I think it was probably one of the only negative quote unquote comments about Tristan's entire meal, and for the editing to feel somewhat balanced, they think they had to like throw one little thing in there, and that's probably the only thing that they had.
But he seemed too excited and eager to say it.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. I think the spirit of the comment made sense. It's like this. I read it kind of as like this is taking dessert too seriously, and it's like he's trying too hard to be like different with the dessert. But yeah, it felt almost just like he was just hating. Honestly, it felt a little. And too
coming from Richard Blaze to be like, oh God, like a new texture, a new experience in ice cream. I was like, dude, are we okay? Have we checked in today in the mirror? I don't know. Anyway, apparently I will fight people for any of these chefs now. So
I was just gonna say this is the one, like, when you're like sort of like as a chef, this is the, like, if I were reading these on the menu, would be the one that drew me, just because it is so creative and so interesting. But I'm like y'all three. Like, I would want all three of these desserts, definitely. But this one, to me, like, I think Tom was right too in the judges table when he was like, the fact that we have to think about it, and we all know that it was expertly executed. Like, there's no technical issue with any of the dish, but the fact that we're talking about, do we love it? Is it too weird? Why are we feeling the way we feel about this dish? In my mind, that makes it a good dish, even if Richard didn't like it. Who cares? Like, I mean, it's interesting. It's thought provoking. It's like what you want from these shows, and from creative desserts, and from chefs who aren't pastry chefs. You want them to be like out there and doing it.
Yeah, it's like kind of the whole point. Yeah,
that is the whole point, right? That's the whole point.
Well. Yeah, I like that perspective for sure. And what was I going to say? I was just rereading the description. But yeah, it all sounded just like you said, just reading it on a menu, just unique and different. Just the charred plantain cream would be the part that like really would catch my eye there. But yeah, I guess, what I was going to say is, like, it got to the point where they were almost arguing over the semantics of what is dessert, basically.
And then once you get to that point, you have to take a step back, touch grass, and be like, oh, if we're arguing over the semantics of what dessert is, like, this guy has done so well, then what are we doing? And what they were doing was giving Tristan the win. They were deliberating for a while. They went through each of the dishes with everyone. Our guests were so deeply impressed by all three, and that was a thrill. Like, they had their stumbling blocks, but like I said earlier, I think these three meals each of them could have won in a different season, honestly. And it wasn't like anybody made some like incredible errors. Like, it wasn't like in Portland when like John forgot pieces of her dish, or like somebody set a menu on fire or something like that, or just like, like how sometimes there's like those big mistakes. Like, nobody really shot themselves in the foot, I guess. And that was so cool to see.
You don't have to remind me about Dawn.
So sorry. So sorry. But Tristan wins, and like, I think he's an incredibly deserving winner of the season. Like, he dominated. He did some really interesting food. I think we all learned a lot from Tristan. I think Tristan learned a lot from everybody around him. Obviously, with his father dying, what a crazy thing to have to go through. Well, two incredibly high pressure situations separately on their own, and to have to like merge those together. It took an incredible resolve to be able to do what he did, and I'm very proud that he is the winner of this season. Like, what a satisfying win this was.
Agreed.
Yeah. I mean, he dominated wire to wire, and I had almost forgotten that he had to endure that trauma and stick it out, because he, like, that is so like, from the watching a television show and like human perspective, that adds such a layer to the win that is so beautiful, and like was making me tear up watching it. Yeah. But I had almost forgotten that had even happened, because I was so enamored by his food and the way he would talk about it and the stories he was building, and how much I was learning from him as well. Mm-hmm. I think it cements him to me as one of my favorite winners of the show, like someone whose food I would like actively seek out and like travel to go eat as well. Like, it's like every time he would talk about a dish, I'm like, wow, like I'm learning something new. I'm intrigued by the ingredients and the combination he's doing, like elite from a chef standpoint. And then you add the layer of like what just like determination that must have taken. Like, I have nothing but respect for him on that level too. Like, it's crazy. And just hearing a little bit about how the show is made and how much time goes into it, and how difficult that can be to add on a loss of a parent to that. It's just it's remarkably impressive and beautiful, and obviously super sad. But hearing him call his mom, like, that was
so good.
And you could see like what a weight was lifted off his shoulders when he was announced as the winner. Like he was finally able to like release everything that he's been holding in for months and months and months. Because like oftentimes he like was very stoic and kind of like held it together and like went inside rather than outside with his feelings. And like we got that release at the end, and it was like, oh, like this means so much to him, and like. That was really wonderful to see as well.
That's why my Chiron says this one's for Russell, because that was his dad's name. And I love that they show the pictures of them together, because he was a stepdad who stepped up to be a father, which is something that you don't hear about often going well when it comes to relationships. And so for Tristan to be calling, and consider this person his dad, to lose him in the middle of this fight that he's going through, and to have the resolve to listen to your parents, right? To be told by his mother, no, you are staying there. That wasn't a choice for him. Everyone else got to go back and have a break for a second from the competition, visit their restaurants. He went back and buried his father. And then he came back with all of that baggage, and he put it like inside. And you could see the instant that Kristen announced his name, his face just went. The emotion was just so palpable. And I was just overwhelmed by it when I rewatched today. Again, was not in the right mood the first time, but the second time I was just like in tears, unable to imagine what this journey must have been like for him. Everything that he had to overcome, while at the same time doing it, putting like a certain type of cuisine on his back and trying to carry out the words of his mentor by saying, I want to be able to help other people. Now I'm excited to see what he's going to do, and like what the newer generation of chefs that he trains is going to
he has a huge platform now, and I think like we've seen a lot of winners do some really incredible things. I think Tristan has like the opportunity. Yeah, Tristan has the opportunity to do some like really cool things. I thought I said like Kristen for a second, but I wasn't sure. It is late at night, guys. I don't know what's happening anymore.
That was the best kinds of podcasts, really.
Oh gosh. Let's talk about the season as a whole. I'm gonna go first because I'm the host, and I get right away, I guess. This season was obviously like very special to me, being in Canada. I think looking back on it in like 5 years, I'm going to be like, oh, I loved this season. And I think in this moment, like I do love this season. I'm obviously going to be a little bit nitpicky about some of the challenges. I think we can say that across the board in like every season. There's like a couple weird challenges where you're like, really? I thought the cast was incredible. I think the caliber of food was really wonderful. And then most importantly, I was on it. What do you guys think about the season?
I think that the addition of Haley Strong to the cast was a wise choice on the part of Magical Elves and the rest of the production team. It made the season. No, I think any issues I had with the season, or issues I had with this new incarnation of Top Chef, like we've talked about before in terms of the immunity coming from the elimination challenge, not the quick fire, and little things like that. I feel like as somebody who is a Canadian neighbor, I guess. Up in Michigan.
You can see Canada from your house.
You can see Canada from my house. I would have liked to have seen more of Canada beyond what we did. But other than that, I feel I enjoyed this one more than I did Wisconsin. And I do think a lot of it does come down to just how much the cast seemed to vibe with each other. For me, I really just love this cast.
Yeah, I thought this was a really great season overall. I don't know if I'll ever forgive them for that final 4 challenge though. With the Olympians. Like that if we could just not do that again, that would be great. But yeah, I wish that we had gotten a First Nations person at every stop along the way. Because from my understanding, much like in America, you can find First Nations people everywhere in Canada, and they have so much to say about food culture and sustainability that we could have learned about. We got a lot of that in the last couple episodes before they left to go to Italy, but I really wish that had been a lot more peppered throughout the show, because that was really what I was looking for. I was also frankly annoyed by the lack of Haley Strong and Chantel Francis in this show. They are stars and they should be treated as such. And why Michael Cera gets to get his own like guest spot and not Haley, I don't understand.
God, even Ethan had like a higher billing than I did.
Yeah. Right?
I was like sending screenshots to Haley. Goes, that Ethan? And then, yep. And then the only thing I get of Haley was her jacket.
But yeah, historic winner. Top Chef, we're going to have to do this more often. That's all I'm going to say.
Jeff,
Jim?
You want to go next?
Yeah. I'll go next for sure. To me, this has been one of the best seasons I can remember in recent memory. And I think that Top Chef always gets hosed at the Emmys. Obviously RuPaul's Drag Race is awesome, but it would be nice to let Top Chef win every once in a while. I think this season would be a great chance for them to win an Emmy. For Kristen and Tom and just sort of how great this season is. I absolutely, for sure, the First Nations challenges are always the best. They're always the most important. They really bring out the best of the chefs. I would absolutely love to see more and more of that. I also agree that I would like to see a little bit more Canada, but in my mind, the cast was perfect. I thought Kristen actually, really came out of her shell this season and was an awesome host. I think that Tom was having fun in this season. I think that all of these things put together, I thought that the challenges were creative and interesting, and none of them were too poor. I mean, yeah, maybe Vinny should not have gotten credit for serving a frozen dish to the judges. But in my mind, that's kind of like the only beef I have with the season. But
thank you.
Intended.
Carpaccio.
To me, the season was great. Like the chefs were awesome. Everyone was great. For somebody who studied under Chef Sarah, she got a much better edit than Chef Sarah did, and is a much a likable person who is fun and quirky. I think that really, in my mind, this may be my favorite season since Charleston. Really, I think that, and I do think it has to do with the chefs getting along with each other and sort of we are all still in a group chat, 8 years later. I was talking to Casey and Brooke in there earlier, before this podcast. And so I think that this cast has that same kind of energy. Yeah. This cast to me has that same kind of energy. And I think that they are an awesome group of people. And yeah, look, come on, it's time for Top Chef to get another Emmy, especially with Kristen in there. I think that now is the time. This season was so good. So well executed. Just a great season.
Kristen is an incredible host.
Yes.
I knew she was gonna be awesome in this role. I didn't know how awesome she would be. I know I said this before, but I don't even miss Padma. I just think Kristen is just adding this incredible layer to the show because she's been in their shoes, and I think she's wonderful and perfect, and I will hear nothing else.
And she has a new catchphrase. She doesn't do insert name here, you are Top Chef, like Padma did. She goes, and this season's Top Chef. The next Top Chef is.
It's giving the winner of Survivor. But no, Jim encapsulated it perfectly. I don't have much to add. I thought this was a very fun season. I think the last few episodes with that the outdoor foraging challenge that I was on a couple weeks ago, that to me it reminded me of the Anakin Skywalker. Now this is pod racing. Like, to me that episode is like, now this is Top Chef. Like, that's why I fell in love with the show. People cooking unique stuff, doing like something like ostensibly very challenging and like out of the box in a sense, but it's not too cartoonishly like manufactured so that it's like impossible to get like a fair competition, I guess. So like it was really beautifully done. I completely agree with what you were saying, Haley, about Kristen. Really, I didn't expect this. Like, I love Padma, and like really took me off guard. But she felt
like Padma felt like it made the judges and the hosts feel like they were almost like separated, like they were on a different level within the show, where Kristen being the host, like I feel like really brings Gail and Tom into like the grittier level of being on Top Chef. Like, she like knows what they're going through. She's been eliminated, she's won, she's done it all, and like she's just I think oftentimes too, like, women are skewered for being really emotional, and like I think the emotion that she brings into her job is so beautiful, and it shows so like how much it means to her and how much these people mean to her, and I love it.
And if she
as a crier myself,
if she wasn't emotional, she would be skewered for not being emotional enough and like not being warm and welcoming.
So fair. So fair.
You know?
Yeah. I did have one question, because as we get to transition into the news, the breaking news that I'm sure we're excited to talk about, I've been trying to contextualize Kristen to people. Who Kristen is to Padma as what Survivor contestant taking over for Jeff Probst would be. Like, can y'all
like
think
Parvati?
of a comparison? Yeah, I was trying to think. I don't know if Parv is the one. Like, I'm trying to think if there's a comparison for a Survivor player that would replace Jeff that would make sense, but I can't put my finger on it. I haven't been able to.
Rick Devens?
Rick Devens, that could be a good one.
Rick Devens.
Yeah, plus Rick Devens has the Edge of Extinction come back the way Kristen had her Last Chance Kitchen
that's
come
so
back.
true.
Yeah.
That's so true. And then before we get into that news, I do want to talk about, where do we think we're going next season? Jim, I'd like to ask you first. You've been on the show before.
Called it.
You called this one. Yeah.
Yeah.
I would and like I feel like you have a great sense of like great food areas and like how TV production works too. Like, where do you think we're going next?
You know, I just kind of had this thought earlier today. It's like, well, we've done our neighbors to the north, and like, you know, Top Chef likes to keep it political, non-political sometimes, and not necessarily overt, but sometimes overt. I think maybe taking it on a road trip to Mexico would be awesome. Like, let's do it.
I was thinking that.
Yeah,
I love that. I love that.
I don't, for security reasons, know if that is a good idea. But I'm with you on the geopolitical implications of it being.
You know, like when we were in Tulum, it was, you know, like that's a sort of rich kind of touristy area, you know, and you know, like, you know, Michelin-starred restaurants, and you know, like those resorts are so huge, you can really contain things in a way. Which
Bachelor in Paradise and Top Chef can share a resort.
And or maybe Top Chef Caribbean, where you're like going to Puerto Rico, you're going to the Dominican Republic, you hit Cancun, and like and I think previously I mentioned like Top Chef High Seas, maybe potentially where you're on a cruise ship but you're hitting a bunch of different ports. Could be kind of fun.
That'd be cool. I mean, Puerto Rico would be awesome.
Yeah, Puerto Rico would be really cool.
Puerto Rico would be great. Top Chef Paradise. We're walking
do a crossover with Below Deck.
Speaking of crossovers, gosh darn it, do we have ourselves one? We have like a 4-way crossover. If you missed the news this week, the Traitors 4 cast has been announced. Very exciting. Our pod boss, Rob Sesternino, is on the cast. And for that, I am like incredibly thrilled, if I'm being honest with everyone.
Yeah.
like pretty fine with him not being on Survivor 50. I just like don't think that was the place for him. I think it would have been Survivor All-Stars again, worse, but even worse. And I was so thrilled to see that he got this opportunity, and like it just like it seems fun. Like it just seems like a rip-roaring great time. He can have fun there. It's not quite as like deeply serious as Survivor. And I think Survivor 50 is going to like take it so seriously.
It is.
There's not going to be like very much room for whimsy, and like Traitors is pure whimsy. It's nothing but whimsy.
Monet Exchange and Rob Cesternino are gonna have breakfast together. They're gonna sit next to Tara Lipinski and Johnny Weir.
I feel like we're doing a Mad Lib right now, and I love it. And then so what? Another reason this is relevant to us is that Kristen is on the cast, and like, how fun is that?
I was tickled when I saw her name get leaked. I was like, "Oh no way!" Like, and it makes sense.
I did no way. And you know, and like I can't remember if we talked about this on the podcast or we kind of like talked about this just like in our circle of trust. And there was some like blind items of like maybe NBC Universal is like not keen on keeping Kristen, like if she's not testing well, quote unquote. This feels to me like an absolute vote of confidence in her.
Mm-hmm. Housewife Kristen.
Great. I love it. I will say when I first saw the cast, Kristen like wasn't a part of it. But Colton Underwood from The Bachelor was, and I was very nervous about Rob. Like, you know, if Rob's describing like, oh, I have a podcast, like, oh, do you have a Bachelor podcast? Well, actually, it's like these two girls who do it. Because we like dunk on him regularly for stalking his ex-girlfriend. So like not super thrilled Colton keeps getting all these opportunities to be on the television. But if Kristen asks Rob, hey, do you guys have a Top Chef podcast? I do want him to say yeah.
You better say yes, Robert.
And like I just want Rob and Kristen to be best friends. And I don't think like that's that much to ask.
Yeah. And Jim and I were talking about this offline. I am correct in saying they're filming now, right? Like the reason it was announced is because good.
Yeah, they're there.
Yeah.
I should have known. But that's I thought it might be like Survivor like 50 where they make the announcement and then they immediately ship people off. But I mean, I guess that may have been what happened. Or are they done filming? They're filming now?
No, they literally, I think they
just left.
They put them on the plane and then they like released the TikTok.
Okay.
Yeah, I think Rob left. I think he recorded his podcast with Nicole last Sunday. So I think it's been less than a week since he left.
And then this makes me feel good because we're opening the doors to Top Chef on the Traitors. And you know what that means is we can start campaigning even harder to have Chef Jim on Traitors Season 5. Please and thank you.
Look, I was going to say it may have been my aggressive, because I have still been aggressively trying to get on the show. And I have been using sort of my magical elves contacts as well as just sort of like just reaching out to people who do the casting anyway. And I mean, I don't know. Does Ian Terry have a giant social media following? Like he might. He may very well. But you know, like
he's big in the backgammon communities these days.
You know, like maybe if my pestering of the magical elves people to get somebody from Top Chef on the show led to Kristen, I'm very happy for that. Of course, I probably can't take credit for that either. But you know,
it would be credit for that if I'm being honest.
But there's no proof you didn't do it. So in my head, you are the cause.
Yeah, I mean, it's good. Like, you know, like, I mean, how amazing would it be to sort of like walk into this room, you know, like the Traitors and like, oh yeah, there's Rob. Like, or like, come on, Owen, like me and you on the season together. I would love to see that happen. You know, like any of these people.
That'd be so fun.
You know, like, but it seems like I am still aggressively working to get on that show. Which you know, like I'm excited, you know, like, you know, whatever. I'm trying. We're working on it. The problem is that the show got too famous to allow sort of like plebes like me to get on the show. You know, you know, like I said, I need to get started. I know I've said my other 2 appearances on the show this season that I'm about to launch this YouTube channel. I've been confident every time, like next week it's going to happen. But what I have realized is that I need help. Ultimately, I've recorded a bunch of like the primary recordings for like 3 or 4 episodes, but then sort of like, oh, I don't know how to work iMovie. Okay, well, let's get in there, like edit. So like, but luckily, one of my servers has recently graduated from, like film school. And so I'm going to reach out for help. And so I do think that I should have my, I'm not going to say it's coming out tomorrow, but will have that YouTube channel up and running sometime soon, very soon. I have a bunch of the filming for like 3 episodes done where I pick a recipe that somebody has done online, I break it down, and then I use that as inspiration for my own dish. And that's kind of like what a YouTube channel is going to be. I'm super excited about it. And it's like I said, you got to realize when you need to ask for help. And like the restaurant has been so crazy. Even like, like it's the middle of summer. You're like, yeah, Father's Day is going to be busy. But like this week has just been like, where are all these people coming? I'm glad they're coming to my restaurant. I love that they're coming to my restaurant, but it's still like, where am I going to find time to edit videos? And, to open a compost farm and to open the other side of the restaurant. I have so many irons in the fire, and this YouTube thing, I really want to get done. I've proved so much principal recording already. And so I'm excited about it. And yeah, well,
it's gonna happen.
Point is like, maybe if I can sort of build that following with a YouTube channel, that will increase my likelihood of sort of like having some more bona fides to make it on, the next reality show. Because being a business owner, like, well, not only would I love to be on that just to play one of these games, because I've never played one of these games in a reality show, and I would love to, but also as a business owner, especially in this freaking environment that we're in, where like restaurants have the hardest, people don't understand how hard it is to run a restaurant, but like, we support every part of our community, whether it's farmers, like service industry, and what people don't understand is like, we purchase stuff every week. And if that stuff isn't sold, it's a loss. But also at the same time, like we're paying all those vendors every week and people are paying us every week. So money comes into a restaurant one week and then you just sort of exhale it all out the next week because you're continuing to buy stuff. And so like, we're like, it's not like a regular business where you can just like buy stuff and let your inventory sit and you hope you can sell it and you maybe make enough money to pay for your labor costs. Like restaurants are like, these things have to sell. We have to make this kind of money. These kind of percentages have to work in order to maintain what's going on. And like every other business in the country right now, if you don't know if the cost of my French wine is going to triple next month, like I bought $2,000 worth of aluminum foil because all of our aluminum comes from either Canada or the Ukraine. Like I did that before the embargo on Canada started. And so like, you just have to be smart about all of that kind of stuff. And if you're not, like, amazing restaurants in New Orleans are closing and they're still saying things like Maypop and Mofo, like those restaurants were incredible. They should have not been closing, but people just don't understand the pressures on restaurants and sort of the unpredictable nature of like, is the price of this going to triple? And like, if it does, are customers going to be willing to pay that? Or do I just need to like stop buying sort of like super expensive stuff and like make more like chicken wing dishes? Well, then you realize, the price of chicken is also skyrocketing. And
everything's going up.
Oxtails used to be cheap. That's not the case these days, and so support your local restaurants. That's what I'm saying. Like that's the point of this. Like restaurants have it really hard, and restaurants are always impacted first because of the way in which our business operates. And so like the things that affect the economy generally always affect sort of the service industry. And so, get out, go find these Top Chef restaurants, go support your local mom and pop restaurant. Those people need, the pandemic's over, it's long gone, but the pressures now on restaurants are almost the same kind of pressures that we were feeling before. I mean, yes, people can come and eat at the restaurant, so you're going to be able to sell stuff, but there's just sort of like this massive uncertainty, like, will we be able to get the produce we need? Are these farms going to be able to pick the produce that we need? Are, like, is this stuff even going to be available? And, like places that are like smaller markets like mine, oftentimes we just can't get the stuff. Now, and I like to think that, like a lot of places don't have sort of a chef who can just sort of pivot, right? Like if something's too expensive, I'm just not going to get it anymore. I'm going to do something different. But, a lot of restaurants, people don't have the confidence to do that. Or maybe they have an owner who won't let their chef do that. So you're like, they're sort of stuck in this mentality of like, no, this is what we serve. And if you're one of those places and you can't pivot and adjust quickly, you're in trouble, you're in trouble. And so really now more than ever, support your local restaurants, people in the service industry, always have it tough. Like, don't believe this no tax on tip stuff. That's not good for the restaurant industry. It's terrible for the restaurant. And like, it's being spun as like, oh, look, we're doing this tax break. Like, well, how am I supposed to tell the people who work in my kitchen that they have to pay their taxes when the servers don't?
Yeah.
And be nice to your servers when you go out. Please just be nice to them.
Seriously.
If you have an issue with the pricing or anything, guess what? Guess whose fault it isn't? Definitely the servers. Stop yelling at them.
Folks, if you're out on a date, I'll tell you the number one thing that will make me be like, no more of this guy is if you're rude to like a service person.
That's the biggest red flag in my book as well.
No, not doing it. And Jim, I was just going to say, I completely feel your pain. I got a sample of this French perfume and I really wanted to buy it, but it's like $45 because of all the taxes. So I too am suffering. Support your local LaTonya.
I've been really like buying too much. I mean, we have a lot of European. We have an awesome wine list, but and I'm a giant wine nerd. I mean, people may not know that about me because I did not drink any when I was on Top Chef because I was still an employee of the state at the time. But I'm a giant wine nerd. I've been a somm for 20 years. I was a wine director for James Beard dinner. I gotta say, it's awesome that they're going to the James Beard house. But
it's amazing.
Yeah, it's an awesome thing to do, but I'm buying just because I know that some things have already changed. I bought a really expensive bottle of wine. It's one of the most famous wines in the world. We sell it cheaper. Like, my markup on stuff is cheap because I would rather people buy the expensive wine and drink it than sort of like sit in my cellar for a long time. But for example, this is a bottle of wine that 2 years ago I bought for wholesale price. $100 a bottle. And so we finally sold that one last bottle. I wouldn't go with the new one. So there's like a 10-year vintage jump. And then sort of like it went from like 2 years ago, this probably $100 a bottle to when I got that one bottle this past week, it was up to $350 for that same bottle of wine. So, it's so hard to know. It's just so hard to know. And restaurants have it really hard. And so that's kind of where we are. And I'm sorry. I thank y'all for letting me rant. Support your local establishments. Go to your mom and pop places, whether it's at the hardware store, the restaurant, wherever you can support local business. You should.
No, I love hearing you talk about this stuff.
Me too. Yeah. That's my always favorite part about having you on is just hearing these things. Can you tell us more about the restaurant? Tell all the listeners where they can find you, what the restaurant's called, what kind of food you're serving lately, and what fun things you're making.
Yeah. The restaurant's called The Hummingbird Way. We're located in Mobile, Alabama. Kind of the big exciting news is that there is a space adjacent to the restaurant. They do connect, and we're going to take that. That's going to be about a 20-seat restaurant in and of itself, sort of almost like a standalone. It's going to operate out the same kitchen, though. But we serve a tasting menu every night in the regular part of the restaurant. But what we're going to do is I think we're going to take that tasting menu away from the regular part of the restaurant and make it nicer and sort of more courses for the smaller capacity. So it'll be almost like a supper club kind of seating where we'll probably do like one seating on Friday and Saturday nights. It'll be more like the sort of 7 to 9 course, maybe up to 12. We'll have awesome wines. We'll do kind of fun, creative things. Like, if I have up now, I know in my wine cellar, I have sort of like a trio of Alsatian wines. So we'll do sort of very specific themed meals in this new space, which I'm really excited about. But the Hummingbird Way is sort of a fancy oyster bar. It's like how I want to describe it. We have all seafood centric, definitely very Southern inspired, but also, there's also a lot of other influences on my menu as well. That is sort of the big restaurant news. The other kind of news, I'm not sure if I mentioned it on this podcast before, is we're in the process of opening a compost farm. It will be sort of the only regenerative agricultural farm in the state of Alabama and the only commercial compost farm in the state. It's taken me like 2 years of work to sort of figure out how to legally do it, how to like get the equipment, how to shop for land, how to actually compost. But I do think I'm finally getting close. Well, the problem is that like, how much do you want to expand your businesses in this current economy? Like, is now, but like a few months ago, I sold my car to buy a farm truck, and I'm not a truck kind of guy, but now I am a truck kind of guy because I have a farm truck, but there's a lot of stuff going on. It's a great time. I mean, I feel like it's a good time to be doing, like, the things in the restaurant are great. Like, Michelin is in the state, and Michelin's spending a ton of time in New Orleans. I know they're doing coastal Mississippi. I know they're doing the Florida Panhandle. I really hope that the Michelin Guide stops, like, in my restaurant. Like, we are right there. We're right there. And, like, I think that there are times, like, we might kind of be on the cusp of 1 star, but I think that we're definitely kind of the Bib Gourmand kind of level. And I really hope that the inspectors made it to the restaurant. But you don't really know those things. I also think that we're really close to getting that beard nomination. Like, we're really working for it. Like, I remember, LaTonya, you saying, like, you hate to lose more than you like to win. And that's that debate mentality too. Like, I'm a competitive person, and I really want to be in the mix for these things. And so I think that there's tons of stuff going on. But I'm sorry, one last thing is, it is summertime, which means that, like, heirloom tomatoes, Alabama peaches, like squash, zucchini, all of that stuff, silver queen corn. So, like, right now we're, like, in a giant transition. Like, we had a big snow. The South had snow, a giant snow. And so it's making it, things are flowering at different times than they normally do. But sort of like right now, we're finally hitting all of the sort of like summer produce, which is so beautiful. And always, like, when collard green season ends, I'm always happy, like, less root vegetables and more tomatoes. Like, that's where we are right now. So it's always an exciting time of the year. But I'll let you, please, y'all tell me what y'all have been cooking and eating.
Oh, and wait, what have you had on the stove lately?
What have I had on the stove? Well, first of all, I gotta come by the restaurant next time I go visit my parents. I know I said that last time and I never made it happen, but I already planted the seeds with them. I'm trying to visit in the next month or so.
I'm converting lots of my staff to Survivor fans. I'm converting a lot of my staff to Survivor fans. It's taken effort, but a lot of them are on board now.
I love it. So I'll let you know when I come through. But we made a good creamy gochujang pasta the other night. By the other night, I mean last night, and then I ate it again for lunch today. It was delicious. Just some ground beef, mushrooms, garlic, just cooked off the gochujang, and then added a little bit of half and half, and then stirred in a little pasta water. And it's become. I got a big tub at Costco because I've been trying to use more Korean stuff in my day to day, and I was just like, I basically just Googled like recipes with gochujang, and this pasta one came up, and it was delicious. So that I was been munching on that. That's a big one recently. Last time I was here, I regaled you with my my honeymoon food adventures and my fancy tasting menu experience in Amsterdam and all of that. But yeah, just been keeping it simple in the financial recovery from the honeymoon. And one plug I'll say, just off of Jim's conversation, just about supporting local restaurants and stuff, because New Orleans always, the restaurants really struggle in the summer just because tourism is so much slower in this part of the country right now. Something I had never thought about that someone suggested, buy all the gift cards right now. Like if you want to get someone a gift card to a restaurant for their birthday or graduation next year or the holidays, like, you can purchase it now and give it to them later, and helps keep those restaurants going in the slower months. So I'll do a little plug for that.
LaTonya, what's been on the menu? Okay, what did you just order for room service?
Yeah.
Well, I am kind of on a ribeye kick now, because they offer.
We went from like smoothies and water to like, we are doing ribeyes up in here. I'm thrilled. I'm thrilled for you.
Well, my doctors told me that I should eat like more red meat. I don't eat a lot of red meat, and my iron is low, as a result of that. And so they were like, have a burger, have like a steak. So I saw on the menu that they had a ribeye, and I don't know if I remember the last time, like as an adult, that I've purposely ordered a ribeye. Like I went into this completely thinking that I had like ordered the wrong thing and it wasn't going to be any good, and it is delicious.
I love ribeye.
It's just, they have like these really good mashed potatoes with it. And then they have these, I don't know what they do to these carrots, but they're like slivers of carrots, and they're just so good. and they go so well, and they're like green beans as well, and it just goes so well. It's just very meat and potatoes, obviously, but I typically don't eat that way. So doing so, I believe, along with seeing Rose's turn at the at the Tonys last week, has changed me as a person. Because I ordered the ribeye for like Tony's watching. So that was exciting. They had this, and these are just like random things that I've ordered from room service, and a couple other places in the last week. They had this lemon chicken soup, like with rice, that was really good. I love soup. I don't care what season it is, really. I will always chow down on some soup. There's clam chowder on the way, so I'm very excited about that, and very hopefully I do not get sick. They have not made me sick so far, so we're gonna knock on wood here. I've also had a couple of their salads. I talked about the salad that has the steak on it before, that has like pear and yeah, with it. But like they have just like a regular garden salad that I asked them to add hard-boiled egg to. And it's just like tomatoes, onions. It's, a balsamic vinaigrette. It's very simple, but I've just been kind of craving a salad with some egg on it. So that's been happening. Today, because I woke up and I was like, brunch sounds like a good idea. And the hotel had already started or stopped serving anything. So I ordered from this place called Egg Harbor Cafe. And I got an omelet with tomato, basil, and mushrooms with mozzarella cheese. And I also got some maple bourbon bacon.
Ooh.
That I asked them to like cook well done, which they did, but not the way that I like it. Like, it wasn't crispy. It was just kind of blackened. So, I mean, they did what I said. It just didn't turn out the way that I hoped. But kind of the star of that show was the iced strawberry matcha latte that I got. Very good, very refreshing. And then I finally ordered from that charcuterie place.
Oh yeah,
that I was telling you all about. So I got the just like personal charcuterie board, and it had like the normal meats and cheeses that you would think. There was some brie there, but there was like grapes and strawberries and like there was a little crudité. There were like crostini. I got this nduja, like scalda nduja, and it had crostini with it as well, obviously. But that kind of really like made me happy. Like, it just smelled so good. And the last thing I got was this beet and burrata salad that was absolutely fantastic. Like, the second that I opened it, I was like, I am happy. I basically had the day off that day. There wasn't a lot going on. I was just kind of like watching things that I was enjoying on television and eating beet and burrata, and it was lovely. So yeah, tonight we're running back the ribeye because it's a Sunday kind of meal. We're gonna watch a little Love Island USA and let the carnage go from there. But yeah, I've been enjoying a week of being able to eat solid food. Please clap. Thank you.
Oh, hey, LaTonya, have you been to the docks? Are you in Providence? You're in Boston now, right?
No, I haven't left yet.
Okay.
I leave on the 23rd.
One of my most favorite kind of debate travel memories is that we would go to Harvard, multiple times a year. People go to Harvard, but every time we would fly to Providence because they were close to the lobster docks. And what you can do is you can like go to the lobster docks in Providence and get them to like steam lobsters right out of the traps. It's definitely worth like if you find it's in Providence is very close to Boston, you know, like so like it's kind of like right down like literally I remember like Dr. Janis, who was his coach at Sanford at the time, was he was from that area, and so he would like there was just always be rows of these docks. You're like, oh, you want to stop in this one or this one or this one? All these places are like steaming lobsters right there off the traps. It's definitely a great kind of food experience in that area.
Thank you. I keep hearing of these whale watching trips. You can like go on the boat and they serve you oyster and lobster, and I'm like, what was I thinking? Waiting so long to get hired by Harvard. I should have done this years ago. But yeah, I'm very much looking forward to the eating in Cambridge and abouts, because my boss very much likes to make a dinner reservation. That's like one of his favorite things to do. And that sounds delightful. I would love.
It's not Dallas anymore, is it? Are they still around? Alive?
Do not get me started. They're still alive, and they're still around.
Okay. Yeah, okay. Enough said there. That's fine.
I'll tell you after.
Okay.
Curt, what did you eat this week?
So my Monday night, as usual, was spent with the local board gaming group at the local New Orleans-inspired bar, and so I always get to go food there. I got a jambalaya and their Bourbon Street nachos, which are tortilla chips layered with Creole queso, Cajun crawdad tails, red peppers, chipotle crema, and pico. Very good. And then I actually went there again Thursday because I signed up for like a last minute massage on Thursday, and the place I go was like right across from this same bar. And I got their Cajun candied bacon and their parish pasta, which is shrimp and andouille sausage with bell peppers, onions, and garlic in a creamy Cajun sauce, tossed in pasta, finished with Parmesan and herbs. So that was really, really, really good.
You like it? I'm anti-pasta yaya. I'm not.
I don't mind a pasta laya every now and then.
Yeah.
The yesterday I took my dad out for an early Father's Day lunch at a place kind of in the middle of nowhere in West Michigan, Howard City. Went to a place called the Forager and had bacon wrapped dates, and they were stuffed with blue cheese and goat cheese. So that was amazing. My dad's very meat and potatoes, so it's always fun to introduce him to new foods. So I made him eat one, and he enjoyed it quite a bit. The local sandwich place, Two Beards, where all the sandwiches are named after people with beards. I had the Silent Bob. I think it's rapidly becoming my favorite sandwich there. It's sage sausage, roasted apples, spicy brown mustard, roasted red peppers, caramelized onions, smoked Gouda, and a grilled wheat panini. And then I added blue cheese. This thing is amazing. It's just so like the apples and the sausage and then like the onions and the blue. Amazing. Just so good. And then I picked up some dark chocolate Oreos and I've been just like housing those like you would like there's no tomorrow. Like I think I ate like an entire one of the 3 rows just yesterday. Because I'm an adult. I can do this if I want to. So leave me alone.
I love being an adult. It's fantastic. It's great.
Doritos for dinner? Yes. Sure. Why not?
Bloody Mary in a Starbucks cup? Let's go.
Yeah. Rock it. How about you, Haley?
Didn't have the most exciting food week this week, and that's fine. Sometimes you just can't always do it all. I'm on a real Fruit Loop kick lately. Like I've just been housing Fruit Loops. Like it's my day job. And I'm having a great time doing it. We also did Father's Day early this year. By that, I mean one singular day early. I am very lucky in that my family gets along super well with Ethan's family. So we hosted a joint pizza party yesterday.
Cute.
We have a wood fire oven that my parents got us for Christmas, so we made 12 pizzas yesterday.
Impressive.
That is correct.
It's so much pizza.
That's the correct amount of pizza.
We had so much pizza. And what did we make? Because both of our dads are what's the word? Particular. So we had to do some like normal pizzas for them. So we did just like a regular pepperoni. We did a pepperoni and mushroom. We did a couple meat lovers. My grandmother is lactose intolerant, so she got her own dairy-free pizza or lactose cheese pizza. Lactose-free cheese pizza. Whatever. And then we did a classic margarita, which was my personal favorite. We also did a chicken Caesar one, which is like instead of sauce, it was just Caesar dressing. And then we did like a garlic olive oil base and cheese, and then topped it with prosciutto and arugula, and that seemed to be the fan favorite. So that was fun. And then because we have a lot of dietaries to accommodate, my grandmother is dairy free. My brother cannot eat eggs. Ethan's dad is very particular about dessert. He only likes maple dip donuts. So we ordered from this vegan donut place in St. Catharines, if you're local to Niagara or local-ish to the Golden Horseshoe. Beechwood Donuts. It's all vegan. They're incredible donuts. So we just ordered a bunch of those, and I made a coconut cake for my father. And then today I had to run an errand in Hamilton, so we stopped at this place called Maria's Tortas Jalisco, and I got tacos, and they were incredible. That's in Stony Creek up near Hamilton. And then for dinner tonight, we just had leftovers from yesterday because, again, there was so much pizza. We did bad math, and there was a lot of pizza. But
are you a cold pizza person, or do you go for the reheat?
I don't like cold pizza. I prefer room temp pizza. So I did do a reheat and then let it come down to room temp.
Down to room temp.
Yeah.
I love Owen asking the real questions.
Yeah.
It's a debated topic.
Yeah. How long are you willing to let the pizza sit on the counter before you like either fridge it or toss it?
Oh, I don't put it on I'm a little anxious about food safety, so like it will go into the fridge pretty quick. Like maybe a couple hours on not it won't be on the counter overnight. Like if it's over on the
I've done the overnight counter pizza.
Oh,
yeah.
My cat might lick it. And like at that point it's like I don't need that energy.
I do like birthday party math on situations like that. It's like if I left this out at a party and I was like, but yeah, I've maybe a time or two I've discovered I sometimes leave it in the oven. Like I'll leave it in the oven for a bit, and then the next morning I'm like, oops, it's still in there.
Oh gosh. Wow. What a fabulous season we had. This was so much fun. I love doing this podcast, and I'm so glad we get to do it. And I'm so glad we get to talk about food and that people listen to it. And it's always shocking that people listen, because it's just like I sometimes forget because it's just like us hanging out and being friends, and it's wonderful. And I had a great time. Jim, where can people find you on the internet if you want to be found on the internet?
Very easy to find at Chef Jim Smith and at the Hummingbird Way on basically most of all the platforms. I have been and I do hope during Big Brother season, I may do some live blue skying during those episodes. If I'm away from the restaurant and if Survivor's on, I do tend to live blue sky. But I hope to do some of that too for the upcoming Big Brother season. But I'm very easy to follow on all the socials at Chef Jim Smith.
Owen, how about you?
Yeah, I'm the Young Knight on socials, spelled various ways, sometimes an O, sometimes a 0, but I'm pretty findable. But yeah, I just followed the restaurant, and I'll let you know if when I make it over to Fairhope to see my parents. And then I forgot to plug a little Top Chef crossover next weekend. Franny and Matt from Survivor 44 are coming to visit New Orleans, and I think we're going to go to the Toops Meadery, Toops Family Meal fundraiser here in New Orleans. They do this summer program where they provide food to food insecure families since they're not getting meals at school over the summer, and so they're doing their big fundraiser next Sunday. So check them out, Toops Family Meal. They're doing a lot of great work, very, very big pillars of the community here in New Orleans, and stepping up when the government is letting these families not get a meal. So he's the man. He's a really, really cool guy. So yeah, give them a shout out.
I think that goes along with what Jim is saying about like support your local restaurants, because like oftentimes those restaurants and those people are pillars of the community, and they will be the first ones to do community outreach, to like bend over backwards to make sure that the people that get them to where they need to be like are also helping the people around them. So
yeah, SNAP benefits are about to be axed. It's awesome that the tubes are, doing things like that.
Curt, what about you and your internet?
You can find me at Curt Clark with 2 C's on the Instagram. Most recently, I posted pictures from the tasting menu I did in Minneapolis, as well as the 8 escape rooms I did in Minneapolis. And then 2 weeks from now, I'm leaving on a European cruise. And so there'll be lots of food pictures and outdoorsy pictures and city lots of pictures, lots of like new stuff other than just books. So give me a follow on there. It's a good time to get in the ground floor of everything, Curt.
Especially because your birthday's soon.
It is, yes. 2 weeks.
Happy early birthday, Curt!
Birthday!
LaTonya, how about you and internet?
Can I also just very quickly say to
LaTonya, you can do whatever you want.
Oh, thank you, Haley.
Within reason.
Okay, well, I was gonna say I'm gonna take that advice and run with it. I just want to say also support your local food pantries as well. I haven't always been able to order ribeye. There was many a time where my grandmother, who fed us with her Social Security check and SNAP benefits, which did not cover things like can't get a rotisserie chicken, for example, with SNAP benefits, because that would be too easy. That's prepared food. So we would go to different like nice neighborhoods and go to their food pantries, because people were always giving out things that they didn't think that their kids would want, or like they didn't want anymore. And it was like the best meal that we got to have during like that week. So like if you have, you're noticing that you have like extra cans of things, or even like diapers are a huge thing. There are so many people who are food insecure. A lot of those people are parents and children, young children. And so supporting your local food pantries and DV shelters, honestly, will give you another way just to help your community. And I just want to say, as like a product of many a food pantry up until adulthood, and oftentimes, please do that. So you can find me on Twitter or Blue Sky at LK Starks. Not sure what I'm going to be podcasting about until I am in Boston safely, and Chappelle probably pulls me to talk about something, because he and Mari have a way of doing that. But yeah, starting a new life in Boston. Just found out that I got my apartment. So I will be doing something on social media about my move. I'm going to start with like taking some video of the roomette on the train, and kind of like my experience taking the train from Chicago to Boston, and then setting up what I'm going to do for the summer. There's going to be a lot of food pics, because my boss never met a restaurant he didn't like. And he is often nice enough to wait to eat until I take pictures. So the phone eats first. That's how you know we're friends. So yeah, follow me on Twitter and Twitter and Blue Sky at LK Starks, but follow me on Instagram at Stormborn1222. Haley?
Yeah, I really appreciate your call out to food banks. I was not thrilled with the most recent provincial election results, and I used that anger to fuel me to make a reoccurring monthly donation to our local food bank, because like food insecurity has increased tenfold, and food is political no matter what way we look at it. It just is inherently. always has been. It always will be. And tonal shift, Bachelor in Paradise starts soon. Coverage coming. Don't worry, Amy and I will be back to talk about Bachelor in Paradise all summer, baby. No, but it is starting in like a few weeks, so we will be talking about that. I think we might do like a preview episode mentioning the cast and also all of the news that has been happening within the last like
oh my goodness
7 days, basically. So keep your eye out for that. You can follow me on Twitter. No, don't follow me on Twitter. No, that's what a reflex. Oh God, I haven't tweeted in ages. Probably will never tweet again. Follow me on Instagram at @strong_, and you can follow everything I am reading on my Bookstagram account at The Strong Library. Thank you again for joining us all season as listeners. We've loved having you. We love hearing from you. Please be our best friends in the off season still and tell us about what you're eating. Like, we love to hear it. Thank you, Jim, and thank you, Owen, for joining us today and earlier in the season. Thank you, Gia and Chantel, for joining us this season too. Gosh, am I gonna cry? I don't think so.
I was close. I was close.
Pack your knives and go. Bye 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 bye.
Bye.
This is RHAP. We know reality TV.